Many people don't realize that the most powerful creations happen in the quiet middle, when you're still becoming the version of you who can actually hold what you've asked for. You don't need to have it all figured out, but you do need to know how to move through that in-between space without unraveling your vision. This episode is your invitation to create while you're still becoming, and to let your next level rise from within your real life, not in spite of it. Hi, welcome to the podcast. I'm Sheila Botelho, holistic business strategist, creator of the Seasons Success Method, and your guide to growing success from the inside out. This space is where we explore what it looks like to scale your business, your impact, and your self-leadership in a way that feels aligned, profitable, and rooted in who you actually are. So today's solo chat is coming to you from a place where I am really in a space of deep transition, in fact, and I want to be really present in how I share this. The last quarter, or even before that, there have been a variety of different things shifting, and many of them I've put into motion to shift, which is really, really empowering. And then there's other things that have become opportunities that have presented themselves to me. And that's even more exciting because I feel like when we create space, that's when other things can land. And it doesn't mean we need to take action on those things immediately. It can mean we get to choose, and we can feel into what is meant for us right now, what we want to pass on, and what could potentially be something we act on in the future. So I'm in a moment of becoming, aren't we always? But I'm not at the starting line, and I'm not at the finish line. I'm just somewhere in between, hanging out in there, dancing around. And it's a space I know you may be very familiar with if you're listening to this podcast. So this episode is for you if you are building while you evolve, if you're scaling while you're letting go of something, and if you're creating from within a very real and full life and not waiting until everything is perfectly packaged. It's a challenging and adventurous space to be in. Here's something I've learned about being in business for the long haul. The duality never goes away. The both and becomes your norm. You might be onboarding new clients while you're grieving an old identity. You could be launching something while you're recalibrating how you actually lead your team. You might be scaling up while you're setting deeper boundaries in your business and your personal life. So none of these things are mutually exclusive. The seasoned founders that I work with know how to hold space for both. They don't need everything to be wrapped up in a neat bow before moving forward. And that's where legacy building energy starts. In addition, something that has become clearer to me recently is how much I'm returning to my artist's lens. My background is in music way back. I've been a singer my whole life, and at one point I thought that would be my path. And it's the place I always return to. It's a place I get so much gratitude, joy, and deep, vibrant energy from is music, listening to it, singing it, writing music, and for many years performing. And there's something about that that translates so beautifully into business because the way artists create, it's not linear. It's often done in silence, like a rhythm you hear just kind of over and over in your mind or from nature even. Or, I remember a time being on a train and the rhythm I heard from the train rolling across the tracks was an opportunity to think of a rhythm for a song. So it's often layered. It can be very messy and also unexplainable until you get to the end. And I've realized that this is how I'm building right now. And when I look back at the things that have been the most pivotal and most life-changing for me, it has been the things that have been created that way, not with a completely bullet-pointed plan that had every action step outlined. It was really about having the idea, moving forward in it, getting curious, taking the steps. And then once those steps were taken, my next steps would appear. Collaborators would appear. And it's a beautiful way to create. So some of the things I'm working on haven't been shared yet, and not because they're secret, but because I feel like there's a sacred nature to them. They're still taking shape. So this is your permission too. Not that you need it, but I'll share it anyway, because sometimes it's just helpful to hear that. To create before you explain. To build something before you actually define what it is. And to trust that what's forming in the dark will eventually find its light. Without sharing specific details, there are some really meaningful transitions underway in my life. And they've been brewing for a long time, a number of years. And right now, they're actually taking shape. And it's one of those experiences for me that is like you plant the seed, you take some actions, you do some research, you look around, you try things, you get out into the world, you make connections, you do your research, you bring it all together. And then it's not like you just sit and wait, but you know that timing is an essence that is involved here. And so you need to be patient. And so you then go and you continue on with your life. And then when it actually starts to take shape, there's almost this moment of pause where you're thinking, is this really happening? Because it's been a while. And you have to remind yourself, wow, okay, this is happening. That thing that I planted a seed for possibly years ago, possibly weeks ago, depends, right? Oh my goodness, it's actually happening. So what I want you to know is while you're going through these types of processes, you get to keep this stuff to yourself. We live in such a video-focused, marketing-focused, and we need to do this for our business, but world. And sometimes we find it hard to know what is ours and what is something to share. And so I just want you to know there is power in tending to the sacred quietly. You don't owe the world your process before you've lived it. And even once you've lived it, you may decide to hold back and share it just for yourself and keep it to yourself. Because I really believe there is leadership in building your next chapter without announcing it before you are ready. And it doesn't make you less bold. It really makes you anchored into who you really are and what you want. I think there's a sense of codependency sometimes that comes up in some of us when we are building things and creating things, and we've done things in community for so many years. We feel like there is this essence of needing to share the whole journey. And there is power in that at certain times. And if that's your way of doing it, it's fantastic. It can be really transformative. And then there's that feeling of being able to sit with something, take some steps, and then realize, oh, actually, that doesn't feel like I want it to feel, or I'm not seeing the results that I'm wanting to see. So let's see what we need to shift. And it's just between you and your process. And there's no explanation required. It's really clean. So this season of my life does feel incredibly pivotal. There are things happening right now that, yes, I've dreamed of for years. And for instance, 5 years ago, there was one specific thing I got crystal clear on in terms of what I was stepping into. But the timing wasn't yet right. So many other things had to evolve. And I see some of them had nothing to do with my business. They had to do with the way I was showing up in my personal life and the way I was addressing various situations, relationships, connections, processes in my day-to-day life. And in doing that, it gave me so much power in my business because it shifted how I approached things. So as things were evolving, it was interesting to start to see it take shape. And now it's happening. It's a landing. And because of the time that I took to get to this place, I know that it feels right. And that's the nice thing about not rushing everything. You get to feel into it. I've always had big, beautiful goals for how I want to live, how I want my days to feel, and what I want my legacy to look like. But I also have a life partner I love deeply and 2 almost grown sons, 19 and 17 right now, who are stepping into their own lives, and their dreams matter too. So there's that element to it in terms of timing. Like, oh, I really want to do this thing. I want to just tap play and go. I love to just take action, and I have to slow my roll sometimes because I care about those loved ones in my life. And I've realized there are so many beautiful ways to create win-wins through that process. So I'm navigating what it means to hold space for everyone to win while staying true to my path. Tell me that's not the challenge of most women in business who have families and loved ones, right? It is the supreme challenge for women that I work with. I see it all the time. And I want to be honest, the last 5 years were not just about building a business. They were also about something much deeper that created a strong foundation for everything going forward. And that was to shed overfunctioning. And I don't know if you know what overfunctioning is. You can look it up. People will talk about it all the time. But essentially, it is living your life in a way and showing up in your world in a way where you want everyone around you to be happy, healthy, whole, and feeling like you have not only a stake in that, but you have something to do with helping that happen, or even making that happen, or inspiring that to happen. And it's so wonderful to want people to win. It's so wonderful to be really patient and to be a cheerleader of the people in our lives. But there's a difference between that and overfunctioning. And overfunctioning just takes it too far. It's like it's out of balance. And it's something that I know that I learned really well in a young age with my mother, because my father had mental health issues growing up. And we didn't know that's what it was at the time, of course. Now we know that this is how we talk about it. And it's so much more mainstream. So because there was so much stigma around it as well, I saw my mother overfunctioning for everyone to make sure that everyone had the best optics. Everybody was feeling happy, healthy, whole. And I learned it really, really young. And I thought, wow, what a superpower. How amazing. And I didn't even know that it was something that I was taking on. But when I became aware of it, sometimes it's partnered with codependency. In my late teens, early 20s, I noticed and had a really beautiful female mentor in my life who taught me what codependency was. And I realized, whoa, okay, yes, this is something to look straight in the eye and deal with. So fortunately, at a young age, I was able to actually address that and move forward. And of course, it can be something that's very much embedded with people who are helpers, who are people who really feel things deeply and are the connectors, the people who are doing person-to-person type work. I think about people who are in, therapy or in like the helping professions, right? And so understanding that at a young age was really, really helpful. And of course, it's not like I learned it and then boom, I was all good and it all went away. It was something that I noticed as I grew through my life. I saw it coming up and creeping in different corners and nooks and crannies. So at least I was aware of it to be able to address it. So I was surprised to see that overfunctioning went hand in hand with that, and it kind of tied into it and kind of crept its way into my life at various points over the last couple of decades. And so this overfunctioning, it's something that can hide, like I said, in the corners of your life. It's like that experience where it looks like you're being helpful, but it actually is just burning you out. So now I'm choosing to walk forward with even wider open eyes without overfunctioning and still showing up for the people I love. So you see this whole, like I'm going for my goals and then I have my loved ones to think of, right? It's that balance. It's that dance. I don't think there's ever really a full balance. It's more like a harmonious dance. Again, back to the musical analogy. And so when I do that, I can still be in service, deeply loving on my people, but not sacrificing my body, my boundaries, or even my brilliance in the process. Because each of us have a brilliance that is within us just waiting to come forth, or maybe just waiting to expand further. If you've already seen the essence of your brilliance, if you've created something really beautiful you want to expand. And that has been my biggest personal growth edge in this season, really recognizing it and being able to move through it. There is a second edge though. And so this second edge is about actually living my season's success method that I talk about. And that is slowing down, resting more, tuning into what's mine and not just what is trending. As I said earlier, we live in a very noisy space in the online business world and just in business in general, because brick and mortar businesses, you're online too. It's how we market ourselves, right? So recently, I had a detox flare up that forced me to pause. I've been going through a specific detox protocol for the last several months, and I'm feeling really good. Things are wonderful. And I paused though, because my mind was so ready to just sprint forward. But my body was like, no. We are approaching this differently now. And listening to my body in that moment was really powerful. I really recognized having this choice of, you can keep going and you are going to start to feel really not good. Or you could actually chill and then wake up the next day and do it differently and feel better. And so I actually chose to listen to my body. And I got so much more mileage out of my next day because I did that. So I've been moving with intention. I've been making fewer moves, but higher impact ones. It's so easy to crowd our calendar with so much, and you can feel so busy, so accomplished, but is it moving the needle? And is it yours to do, or is it someone else's? And the internal work has been about sitting with that bubbling desire to run and move forward while choosing to honor the healing and to give space in the process to my relationships, to let what is truly aligned have time to rise. Here's the thing. This is something I'm going to be talking so much more about. It is that we are living in an era of rapid innovation. You know this. The pace is breakneck. And if you're not careful, you'll start to believe that speed equals success. But for me right now, discernment is everything. What is mine in this season? That is the only question that matters. And I'm learning to act from alignment, to be in the right rooms, to create the rooms that I need when they do not yet exist, all while honoring my body and all while letting it be enough to move slow and steady towards something sacred. And that is my season's success method. I'm not saying it always has to be slow. In this season, it is for me, but it's like honoring the season I'm in, right? So the power of slowing down is all about what I am focusing on right now, because it's something I see across the board with people I support, particularly the women. And that is that slowing down doesn't mean you're stalling. It means you're being intentional and that you actually have the capacity to hold the success you're building. It means leading your business with your nervous system intact. So inside expansion season, that is essentially what we're building. Business foundations rooted in your real life and not hustle culture. So if you are in a season where your body is asking for more rest, clarity, simplicity, you may be pivoting, you may be really looking like, how do I move forward in this new age of business? And you need to take a pause to figure that out. That doesn't make you weak. It really makes you wise. That discernment piece is everything. At this level of leadership, emotional precision is what sets you apart. You learn how to read the room. You learn to see when something is aligned. You just know it. And you also know when it's performative. And you know when it's time to move and when it's time to release. And because of that, your actions land harder and your results actually compound faster. Your energy is used with discernment and not depletion. So what is your edge? It's not hustle. It truly is clarity. So in this season, I'm learning that structure is the thing that feels nourishing. And what it looks like is spacious time blocks with margin for me to move them, movement and silence each morning, simplified offers, a smaller number of high impact connections. And that is truly what is holding me, and it's allowing me to build while becoming. So I have a question for you, actually two, to ask yourself. What structure supports your next level? Ask yourself that question. What is the structure that's supporting your next level? Do you have one? If not, you must create one so that you can feel your best and actually get there and enjoy the experience. Second question, what would it look like to let your business be easier right now? What would it look like? You probably know right now something's popping into your head. Say it out loud and then figure out, how do I make that happen? If this conversation has resonated with you, I want to invite you into the next evolution of your business. Inside Expansion Season, we take everything I've talked about today and turn it into systems, strategies, and self-leadership practices that support your full spectrum life. It's what I've done with myself, and it's what I've done with my VIP clients. And you can do this without burnout, without overfunctioning, and helping you scale truly with intention. So you can learn more by DMing the word expand on Instagram, and I will send you the details. You're not behind. You're not doing it wrong. You are just in the middle of your masterpiece. And I want to remind you, your body knows. You have a valid vision, and that timeline that you're on is sacred. So keep going, keep becoming, and remember, we all get to win. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you on the next episode.